It's 3:17 a.m. in an abandoned prison. The night vision camera is glowing that familiar radioactive green.
These things right here, these tombs, they talk, and they're telling us that this place had a lot of death, a lot of darkness.
A grown man whispers, "Did you hear that?" Even though the only audible sound is his own breathing and what might be a raccoon aggressively minding its business. He freezes. The EMF meter flickers. Someone says, "Bro," cut to commercial. For a glorious moment in the mid-2000s, this was peak television. This was culture. This was what happened when plumbers with camcorders became America's frontline defense against Victorian-era spirits with unfinished business.
I'm always ready to get to a family and help them out.
I got a 2-year-old. I'm terrified to leave him in his own room now.
We noticed scratches on his back.
Ghost Hunters wasn't just a show. It was an event. It was Halloween, but every week. It was your cousin's conspiracy theory, but with better lighting. Back then, it felt real, or at least real enough. A couple of regular guys from Rhode Island, armed with flashlights and an alarming number of gadgets from Radio Shack, calmly walking into allegedly haunted asylums saying, "We're here to help." No screaming, no demon theatrics, just blue-collar ghost busting.
Fingers under my ribs.
Something gouged my leg out.
We need your guys' help.
People whose lives were disrupted by the paranormal.
And somehow, it worked. The show debuted on SyFy in 2004 and quickly became one of the network's most watched programs. It turned the Atlantic Paranormal Society, founded in 1990 by Jason Hawes, into a household name. We were hooked. We wanted chills. We wanted evidence. We wanted that grainy whisper in the dark that sounded like it said, "Get out."
I looked at the person I was with and she said, "I'm getting out of here. I don't want them to be stuck."
Instead, what we eventually got was something else entirely, and that's where this story really begins. Before Ghost Hunters was a franchise, a meme format, and background noise for late-night TikTok edit, it was basically two guys with tool belts and a hobby. The Atlantic Paranormal Society, TAPS, was founded in 1990 by Jason Hawes, who was, and this is crucial, a plumber, not a priest, not a professor, not a TV psychic with dramatic cheekbones. A plumber. Grant Wilson joined in 1992. Together, they investigated creaky New England houses the way you'd inspect a leaky sink.
But after a decade on the road, I realized that the people who needed me most were my family.
Calm, methodical, slightly skeptical, and ready to blame the pipes. And that detail, that's everything. Because in 2004, America wasn't looking for another theatrical ghost whisperer. It was the post-9/11 era.
When I first looked at that footage, you know what it is, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Reality TV was booming. Authenticity was currency. Survivor had proven audiences loved watching real people. YouTube didn't exist yet. TikTok wasn't even a futuristic fever dream. If you wanted paranormal evidence, you either trusted your weird uncle or you watched cable. Then on October 6, 2004, Ghost Hunters premiered on SyFy. The premise was radical in its simplicity. Walk into allegedly haunted buildings, ask invisible entities polite questions, and wait. No screaming, no exorcisms, no holy water budget.
I got here. Brandon is actually a cobweb hanging from him right now.
Is it really? Are you serious?
It's like
Just flashlights, EMF meters from Radio Shack, and two blue-collar guys saying, "It's probably wiring." And that restraint, that was the hook. They debunked things. They openly admitted when it was plumbing, drafts, or bad insulation, which, coming from a plumber, hits different. It felt grounded. It felt competent.
And they can start investigating the gymnasium, and Daryl and Kristen can head into the auditorium and see if they can get to the bottom of the claims in there.
Felt like customer service for the dead, and audiences ate it up. The show quickly became one of SyFy's most watched programs. TAPS moved from Hawes' backyard operations to an official office in Warwick, Rhode Island. What started as a side hobby turned into primetime mythology. By 2010, they were celebrating their 100th episode at Alcatraz and had become SyFy's longest-running reality series. Let that sink in.
Investigating the reports of two kids that were told to be quiet by a man from the bleachers.
A show about standing in the dark asking empty rooms questions became a network cornerstone. But here's the subtle genius of early Ghost Hunters. It wasn't selling ghosts, it was selling competence. It wasn't believe us. It was let's check. Before paranormal television became thermal camera hysteria and drywall exorcisms.
I think what we need to do is we can get up on that balcony from over here.
Okay.
It was just two working class guys calmly investigating bumps in the night like they were warranty claims. And for a while, that felt revolutionary. But television has gravity. The more cameras show up, the heavier expectations get. And when your format is built on maybe, eventually the pressure to deliver something definitive starts knocking. At first, it was just static on an EMF meter. Later, it would be something louder.
High school, 1:52 a.m.
Well, the light just went off?
The light just flickered. What?
And once that shift began, there was no going back. For a while, ghost hunters felt untouchable. It had the formula, the vibe, that they were just regular guys with flashlights charm. They weren't screaming like every other paranormal show that would later flood cable. They weren't throwing holy water at drywall. They were calm, measured, skeptical, allegedly. But every empire built on flickering lights eventually has a power outage. The first crack wasn't dramatic.
And Rochelle, we're here in the gym. We're here just to talk to you, man. Just want to hear your story.
It wasn't a ghost pushing someone down a staircase. It was subtle. The vibe started to shift. Around 2008, during a live Halloween special, something happened that would live rent-free in skeptical forums forever. Grant Wilson appeared to have his jacket pulled 3 separate times by what the show implied was a spirit. Critics immediately pointed out that it looked suspiciously like someone tugging a string. Now, to be fair, Hawes and Wilson denied any fakery, noting that their contracts prohibited staging evidence. But here's the problem. When you're investigating invisible entities using gadgets that beep near microwaves.
What was that?
Lights went off. Lights went off.
Look at this.
You don't get the luxury of trust me, bro. Once doubt enters the room, it doesn't leave. Skeptics like Benjamin Radford openly criticized the methods as unscientific. Organizations literally handed out truly terrible television awards for promoting pseudoscience. Independent groups were formed just to reconstruct and debunk scenes from the show. Think about that. People dedicated time out of their lives to recreate flashlight malfunctions. That's when you know something shifted. But the deeper crack wasn't just about potential fakery.
Back and let us know that you're here?
It was about escalation. When a format relies on maybe something happened, you eventually have to answer the unspoken question. Okay, but did something actually happen? The early seasons thrived on ambiguity. A whisper, a shadow, a door creak. But as seasons stacked up, 11 straight on SyFy by 2016, the pressure to deliver grew. We want evidence. We want proof. We want the ghost to at least knock once for yes. And when you don't have that, you lean harder into drama. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, the chemistry that made the show work started dissolving. Grant Wilson left in 2012. That was the duo, the Mulder and Scully of plumbing-based paranormal investigation. When Wilson stepped away, Hawes continued, but the dynamic shifted. Then in 2014, key team members like Amy Bruni, Steve Gonsalves, and Dave Tango left. Suddenly, the core was gone. It's like replacing half of the Beatles and insisting it's still the Beatles. By 2016, after 11 seasons, the original run ended.
Violently attacked and had the handprint of a child on her leg and also got punched in the face down here.
And honestly, it felt natural. The cultural moment had passed. Paranormal TV was oversaturated. Every channel had its own squad of night vision enthusiasts yelling, "Did you hear that?" into damp basements. But then the revival era began. Because nothing in television truly dies, it just gets rebooted. In 2019, Ghost Hunters returned on A&E. Nostalgia marketing was in full swing. Millennials who once watched the show while texting on slide phones were now adults with streaming subscriptions. The revival promised the return of Hawes and Wilson together again, the gang's back, except it wasn't the same. A&E canceled the revival after season 13 in 2020. Then it came back again on Discovery Plus in 2021. Then new seasons aired on Travel Channel in 2022 and 2023. By 2023, the franchise quietly stopped after season 16.
A mysterious voice repeats what I'm saying, and then moments later, another faint voice comes through and says, "Demon."
At some point, it stopped feeling like a show and started feeling like a ghost itself, haunting different networks, appearing briefly, disappearing again. And then came the Conjuring House situation. In 2023, controversy erupted around a haunted Rhode Island property connected to investigations involving Hawes and members of his circle. The owner publicly accused Hawes of being involved in a bizarre conspiracy against her, sent threatening messages, and posted footage misidentifying him. Hawes filed reports for stalking and defamation. Now, the details were messy. Allegations, lawsuits, counterclaims, but the optics? Terrible. Ghost hunters fighting over a haunted house in real life feels like a parody sketch. Instead of investigating paranormal drama, they became it. And through all of this, online culture evolved. TikTok birthed #SpiritTalk, where thousands of creators share paranormal experiences. Instagram accounts racked up followers. Reddit threads dissected episodes frame by frame. Meme formats emerged. when the EMF meter goes off and you suddenly question physics. The internet did what it always does. It turned earnest belief into content. Suddenly, Ghost Hunters wasn't the cutting edge of paranormal TV. It was the blueprint everyone else either copied or mocked. And that's the peak of the collapse. Not a single explosive scandal, but a slow erosion. The magic faded, the team fractured, the format stretched thin, the mystery became predictable. When every episode ends with "we can't definitively say," eventually the audience says it for you. We can't definitively say this works anymore. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Ghost Hunters didn't collapse in a fiery, demon-infested implosion. It faded. And fading is worse, because today the show isn't scandalous.
What's your name?
It's back here.
It isn't shocking, it isn't even particularly offensive, it's just predictable. The revival era bounced from network to network. A&E in 2019, Discovery Plus in 2021, on Travel Channel through 2023. Like a spirit that couldn't find peace. Each comeback was marketed as a triumphant return. Each one quietly lost momentum. By the time the franchise stopped after season 16 in 2023, it didn't feel like a cancellation. It felt like a shrug. And the problem isn't just cast changes or network shifts. It's structural. Paranormal TV has a ceiling. There are only so many times you can stare at a dark hallway and whisper, "If there's anyone here, give us a sign," before the audience realizes the sign is always a faint thud followed by 10 minutes of speculation. The formula became mechanical. Arrive, interview, set up gadgets, EMF spike.
Whoa! Yeah, dude, that's the woman we just heard!
Collect ambiguous EVP. Conclude nothing. Repeat. What once felt grounded and sincere started to feel polished and packaged. The early charm, two plumbers calmly debunking things, gave way to slick production and dramatic music stings. The restraint that made it believable slowly morphed into television pacing. And the skepticism never went away. Critics continued pointing out that the tools used, EMF meters, REM pods, temperature guns, have no proven ability to detect spirits. Awards mocking the show for promoting pseudoscience didn't exactly boost credibility. Meanwhile, the internet moved on. TikTok's hashtag Spirit Talk community exploded with thousands of amateur ghost clips. Suddenly, everyone had night vision. Everyone had a haunted Airbnb story. The exclusivity was gone. Why watch a cable show investigate a haunted jail when your algorithm serves you 5 allegedly possessed dolls before breakfast? And maybe that's the real issue. Ghost Hunters used to feel like access. Now it feels like legacy media trying to compete with a teenager in their basement saying, "Guys, you won't believe this."
Aaron and Billy are sensing that they're not alone in the nursing home.
The mystery isn't mysterious anymore, it's content. And once the paranormal becomes content, the ghosts don't disappear. They just lose their edge. Here's the thing, Ghost Hunters almost pulled off something impossible. It took a niche hobby, 2 plumbers from Rhode Island investigating creaky basements, and turned it into a cultural moment. It ran for 11 straight seasons on SyFy. It spawned spin-offs. It survived revivals across 3 different networks. It created an entire aesthetic. Green night vision, hushed whispers, EMF meters glowing like they're about to text you bad news. For a while, it felt earnest. That was the fantasy, not that ghosts were real, but that maybe, just maybe, someone out there was calmly, professionally trying to figure it out. No screaming, no demon theatrics, just we're here to help. And that's why the decline feels bittersweet instead of catastrophic. There wasn't one massive scandal that blew the doors off. There was just time.
I just heard footsteps upstairs. You think someone's in the building? Let's go.
Cast departures, network hopping, internet cynicism, meme culture, the slow realization that if you investigate enough abandoned buildings, eventually the scariest thing you'll find is poor ventilation. The show didn't die because people stopped believing in ghosts. It faded because we stopped believing in the format. And maybe that says more about us than it does about them. We want mystery, but only if it trends. We want evidence, but only if it goes viral. We want authenticity, but shot in 4K. So here's the real question. If a ghost knocks in an abandoned prison at 3:17 a.m. and no one clips it for TikTok, does it even matter? Like, subscribe and tell me which haunted location should file for retirement next.